In 2024, a Pokemon ROM hack by the name of Emerald Seaglass would appear on the Pokemon ROM hacking subreddit and almost immediately blow up in popularity. It was a one-of-a-kind hack that combined the art style of the second generation with the hardware of the third and the quality of life and balance of modern titles. However, to absolutely everyone's surprise, the creator would end the year with an announcement of an original region hack called Pokemon Lazarus. And as you might have guessed from the title of this video, that hack is now completed. And thanks to the kindness of the lead developer, I was able to play it early, and let me tell you, it was an absolutely wonderful experience. So today, I'll be showcasing the hack's features and content, as well as giving it a full review at the end of this video. If you find yourself looking for more ROM hacks to play after this video though, then definitely subscribe for weekly content dedicated to Pokemon fan projects. But without further ado, my name is Avery, and let's get started. I thought I'd start with what I think is the most important part of any Pokemon game, and that's the gameplay, mainly pertaining to the creatures and your battles with them. Now, if you played the creator's first hack, you're aware that a good number of Pokemon had their stats, learnable moves, or even type combos altered to improve their usability, or just provide a more interesting experience. While these weren't nearly on the same level of hacks like Radical Red and Renegade Platinum, what's important is that they're in this hack as well, alongside some new ones to account for the modern generations. Where Lazarus really spoiled me though is the Pokemon variety. The deck size is roughly between 4 and 500, and the developers made no mistakes making sure that every area had a healthy number of options for your team. In fact, there were so many Pokemon that even around the third gym, I was already juggling multiple teams just because of how many there were that I wanted to use. But the real meat is the battles, and Lazarus does not fall short with them. This hack has a pretty unique gimmick where gym leaders and a few other important bosses will use a team that is mostly pulled from a wide pool of options. This means that outside of their ace, each time you fight them, they'll have some differences in their Pokemon rosters. While this does make each battle harder to plan for, it allowed for a lot of surprises in the fight, and overall created a much more interesting gameplay experience. On top of that, the hack also offers two different difficulty modes, being normal and hard. I chose to play through the hard mode, and while it definitely wasn't lacking in challenge, it doesn't live up to the standard of the hardest difficulty in most other ROM hacks, which honestly isn't really something I care about. I'd much rather have a challenging but fair style of difficulty that rewards me well for coming prepared, opposed to spending 5 or more attempts on half the boss battles. Either way, if you'd still prefer a laid-back experience, then the normal mode promises a close to mainline challenge, which I wouldn't doubt is true due to the overall difficulty of the hard mode. Overall, Lazarus hits the nail on the head with its gameplay. I was always anticipating the next challenge, but never found myself hitting a brick wall or unmotivated to continue playing. As fun as the battles were, one of the main reasons people choose to play new region hacks is, well, for the new region. And just like the last segment, I really can't say I was disappointed with any of it. Lazarus takes place in the region of Ilios. Inspired by the real-world country of Greece, your journey will begin in the mountainous mainland of the north, before then traveling through the islands in the south. The diversity of the region is spectacular. I've never been a fan of maps where 80% of the locations share the same biome, and Lazarus does not share that issue. In fact, just before the third gym, you'll find yourself traveling through a farm route, a statue-covered mountainside, a swamp, a haunted forest, and probably another biome that I missed. Despite the amount of water on the map, the region is very sizable, with about 15 major towns and dozens of routes or other landmarks in between them. However, the world around you is very different for a reason outside of biome diversity, and that's the art style. Seaglass went for a sort of modernized version of the Generation 2 style, and got a bit of criticism for some of the color or aesthetic changes, either in the overworld or in battle. But I think that Lazarus kind of stepped away from that goal, and instead went for a style that doesn't closely resemble any of the Pokemon ones. There's a lot more detail and color in the world, and way more custom building or other structure sprites. Especially in battle, the new backgrounds look way better than the old ones. And honestly, I can't say I like the white outlines on every NPC in Seaglass, compared to the lack of them in Lazarus. So despite not looking aesthetically identical to the second generation games, the hack looks incredibly good, and still holds that retro 8-bit look that Seaglass had. And last but not least, but the Pokemon sprites in this game look a lot more unique and carry a lot more personality than they did in Seaglass as well. So overall, I think just like the gameplay, Lazarus did not miss with the graphics and region design. Every map was fun to progress through, and every battle was pleasing to look at. Now, compared to PC fan games, ROM hacks haven't really been known for their storytelling. Sure, you have a good few that go above and beyond to try and convey a compelling narrative, but most of the time, you're met with something pretty reminiscent of the older Pokemon games. So where does Lazarus fall? Well, if I had to be honest, I think its plot mostly exists for the sake of giving you somewhere to go next. Your adventure begins in a small town as the local professor's assistant, and you're then tasked with completing the Pokedex alongside collecting 8 gym badges in order to accomplish the first goal with more ease. I know that a lot of people go into a ROM hack hoping for a deep story with tons of cutscenes and characters to tell it, but honestly, I didn't really mind Lazarus mostly lacking one. It's clearly not the main focus of the hack, and I think everything else I have to talk about significantly outweighs the potential negative of the lack of a deeper story. But I still have to give credit where credit is due, because there are still a good number of story events that really improve the overall experience, while either not taking too much time away from the main adventure, or rewarded you well when it did. So overall, not a super deep or engaging story, but one that's still enjoyable to play through. While the story might not live up to some people's expectations, one aspect of the hack that absolutely will is its quality of life features. To start, I should mention that the project does have the physical special split, the fairy type, infinite TMs, and most basic Generation 6 Plus systems that the majority of today's ROM hacks offer. But the beginning of your adventure will give you the EXP all, greatly increasing the ease of training Pokemon. Now, this isn't officially mentioned anywhere, but I do feel that there is some sort of catch-up system alongside that, giving lower level Pokemon much more experience, making it easier to pick up or swap in new team members. After defeating the second gym leader, you're handed the Dex Nav. Talking to the NPC by the statue in the third gym town gives you access to a free mover learner once you've caught 20 unique Pokemon. HMs can be used without teaching the move to your Pokemon, and of course, they can be forgotten without any issue. The hack uses an Unreal Time system that can be advanced instantly at any Pokemon Center. And of course, just like Seaglass, there's a well in the second town that lets you gamble for rare Pokemon. All of these systems made the adventure a very smooth sailing experience, and not once did I feel overwhelmed trying to obtain something that would normally require a lot of grinding in many other Pokemon games. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, as from the start of the hack, you have access to a computer that can completely change how you play. By just entering a code, you can obtain infinite rare candies, additional starter Pokemon, unlimited wishing well stars, or even upgrading the Dex Nav, allowing it to locate Pokemon whether or not you captured them. Even if you want to do a specific mono run, there's a code for each type that gives you a random first stage Pokemon. And again, that's just scratching the surface. There's at least 24 codes, all of which are listed for you in the hack's online documentation. Lazarus really lets you play however you want to, and while I don't push for every hack to do so as well, I like to praise the ones that do. And finally, reaching the third gym also grants you access to a boat that can be used to transport yourself around the region. More interestingly though, you can actually customize the room inside of that boat. While this doesn't technically count as quality of life, I still thought it was a fun extra feature that was worth mentioning. I went into this hack with pretty high expectations, and I can't lie, even those were blown away. It's visually appealing, challenging but not frustrating, and lets the player enjoy the experience in any way they desire. It's a project that represents just how incredible the year has been for the Pokemon ROM hacking scene, and how bright the future is for it. So, with my final scores on screen, and feel free to pause and read them, I will be giving Pokemon Lazarus a 9 out of 10. 10. It feels like a definitive Pokemon adventure, and what I mean is that it offers something that can be enjoyed by almost any type of player, thanks to both its customization and difficulty levels. If you have any second thoughts about playing it, I really suggest you set them aside and give the hack a try. Even if you're a hardcore Nuzlocker or enjoy other niche challenges, I still think you'll have a wonderful time playing Pokemon Lazarus. But anyways, thank you for watching, thank you to my channel members for their continuous support, and have a nice rest of your day.